This example will show you how to create and run code snippets in HTML, CSS and JavaScript using an online tool called jsFiddle. To use this IDE, go to your address bar in your browser and type in jsfiddle.net, and you should see a screen like this. I'm going to press close here to get more space on the screen just to demonstrate a simple program. So I'm going to write HTML code to render a web page so that when the user clicks on a button, the code will call a JavaScript function, and the function will use a for loop to loop through a block of code 10 times. So here in this pane or section you can enter the HTML code. So the HTML code, I'm going to just paste it in here. So there's a function, a tidy function, that when you click on it, it'll just tidy up the tabs and so on. So the HTML here is just HTML for a button, to render a button, and when the user clicks on it, to call a loop function. And the text click here will be written on the button. So just in the HTML section, just the settings, the default settings that come when you open jsFiddle.net in your browser, is that the language is HTML, the doc type used is HTML5, and the default settings for the body tag are blank. So that's the HTML. Now the JavaScript, I am going to enter the code for the JavaScript function in this section. So here we go. Again, you can click on the tidy to tidy up the code. Just notice the settings, the default settings. The language here is JavaScript. The framework and extension, there's lots of choices, but we're going to use pure JavaScript. So we're going to go with the default. Now the load type is important. For our example, we are, and I'll move this up so you can see, you move the pane up to see the options in the drop down. So the load type, we're going to either have the JavaScript at the bottom of the head section or the bottom of the body section, and either will be suffice for this example. So we'll choose bottom of the head section, and we'll just leave the defaults for the rest. Okay. Now, so that's our HTML and our JavaScript. Now for CSS, we're going to put in some simple CSS. I'm going to paste in some CSS to style the paragraph. So in the HTML, we've said we want a paragraph, and this will style it, CSS. So I'm going to tidy up the code again there. Now to save and run to run the result, we will click run. Now I'm not logged in here, but you can create your own user account and you can save your versions and so on. There's lots of information on how to use this tool to its full advantage. But to run the code, this is the output pane of what you'd expect to see in the browser. And here we have the click here button, which our HTML code specifies. And so when you click on it, the interactivity should call the user interaction should call the JavaScript function and execute the code here. So let's click on that, and here we have our for loop executing 10 times, looping through 10 times to use a counter variable to calculate the 2 times tables. And that's jsFiddle with video number 1.